Welcome back to Ghoster Coasters, everybody. Last time on the channel, we broke down the top thrill dragster predictions and rumors, but today we have some more exciting news from the coaster capital that is Cedar Point.
So, at Winter Chill Out this week, they said they were closing Forbidden Frontier. Now, what does that mean for everything going on right now?
What does the future hold at Cedar Point? What could we potentially see going back there on the Forbidden Frontier? And are they finally going to connect those paths over by Camp Snoopy? Stay tuned, we're going to get into it right now.
So, what was Forbidden Frontier on Adventure Island? It was an interactive play place for kids. It had a dig pit where they dug for gems, 3 stories ropes playground, and they also had Provisions Diner back there. But let's get into the interactive aspect of it.
We're told you'll find a thriving community that lives off the land and functions together the best way they know how. In fact, you may be asked to roll up your sleeves and help farm the land, or perhaps go on a secret mission, deliver special messages, or decipher a cryptic puzzle. You may even run into goats, chickens, and even an emu, or better yet, digging for those gems that my mother mentioned earlier. But the short answer is Forbidden Frontier on Adventure Island is an experiential attraction. Some of it tangible, some of it intangible. It's a story that began with us.
Now, I don't know if y'all heard, but just a few moments ago, our island treasure map was stolen. Now, there is a rumor going around that it might be over at the pirate ship. Would y'all mind going and taking a look there, see if you see anything suspicious?
Sure, we'll take a look.
Alrighty, come back, let me know. I would love to break the story.
All right, thank you.
So, why did Forbidden Frontier on Adventure Island close?
So, according to Tony Clark, there was not enough foot traffic.
Yeah, and I would agree that makes sense because we never even really went back there too often. We didn't know Forbidden Frontier was really much of a thing. We saw it when we went to the Blood on the Bayou last Halloween, but that's really the only time we ever saw it. We never got to experience it, so for us to say it wasn't fun or anything would be disingenuous, but it wasn't something that we sought out either. And it was also a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, it definitely was out of the way. You know, you had to go all the way back there by the animals. The only entrance into the place was back there. I think I once traveled back there on accident towards there, and it wasn't even open when I did. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I've
what's
done that
this?
a few times back there. But another thing, they didn't add access points to it like they could have from Camp Snoopy. There's plenty of like space to add an access point where it would have made the flow of traffic heading back there way easier, and it would have mitigated the flow of traffic going around the park. We would have had a clear pathway from like the barnyard to the Gemini area, or Camp Snoopy as it's called, but right outside of the Gemini, which would have been amazing for circulating traffic throughout the park because it does get quite slammed back there on the weekends on the Forbidden Frontier Trail.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It would definitely alleviate that whole one entrance in, exit out type deal that they have going on over there and open up everything a whole lot more.
So that leads us to what could come of the Forbidden Frontier on Adventure Island. With lack of access in mind, one thing I think that they're definitely going to do with the Forbidden Frontier area is add access from another point. They're going to build a bridge of some sort that goes over the Snake Expedition, the boat ride, and they're going to make it accessible from more areas of the park because I think that definitely played into why foot traffic was low over there. You had to walk all the way back by the barnyard, and it was catered more towards the family audience, so it was quite a haul for especially the younger age group to make it all the way back there and then have to walk even farther back there to get to the Forbidden Frontier on Adventure Island. So I think definitely adding a bridge back there would be a huge success for that area, whatever is to come of it. But what else could come back there?
Well, I think there'll be some flats, maybe a Zamperla package or something like that. But my favorite thing, and I know you don't agree with me, is I think definitely take out Snake River Falls and put in a water coaster. An Intamin Aquatrax would be awesome back there. It would add a 19th coaster to the already lined up coasters that they have, and it still has a water ride. I think it's a fabulous idea. I think Snake River Falls is outdated.
Well, I definitely don't really see it coming, but I don't hate your idea either. I think that's something that could work out really well. And speaking on that 19th roller coaster, the one thing that I do see coming to this area is a coaster expansion. Now, what could that be? A Gerstlauer? Could we see a new Vacoma back there? Will they finally build that wooden roller coaster? Well, I definitely think it's more leaning towards the wooden roller coaster aspect back there, and we're gonna break in that right now.
So, who do we think is going to be the manufacturer back there? Could it be GCI or could it be Gravity Group? I think it should be GCI because I really think a family coaster like Mystic Timbers would work very well back there. What do you think?
Personally, I would love a Gravity Group wooden coaster, and the reason for it being it would differentiate from the wooden coasters at Kings Island. Mystic Timbers being so close in proximity to Cedar Point, I think they could do for something like the Voyage at Holiday World, maybe a wooden hybrid type of coaster, because Cedar Point does have a problem with carpenters anyway, so limiting the amount of wood that they use for a coaster would be ideal back there anyways. And like I said, it differentiates majorly from Mystic Timbers, and maybe they could go for that airtime record again that Steel Vengeance took and have it on a wooden roller coaster. That would be a fun one. Or they could go the route of adding a dueling coaster back there, which I know would likely be more GCI and lean in your favor of what would be coming back there. But I'm just saying it would be really cool to see Cedar Point have two racing roller coasters, one wood and one hybrid. That would be awesome. And I mean, like the ride at Hershey Park, Lightning Racer or whatever, that would be so cool to have a ride that's super interactive like that, but modern day, modern age, at Cedar Point back there wrapping around that island near, Millennium Force and whatnot. But I do know the space is limited, so a dueling roller coaster isn't a huge, likelihood. It's just something that I think would be really cool if they could figure out how to do it. A little creativity goes a very long way sometimes, and you don't create greatness staying comfortable. If you get a little uncomfortable and push your boundaries, that's when some of the greatest things are created. And it's also when some of the worst things are created too. So they do have to be careful with that idea.
So, I also think that they can use a lot with the train back there, how about a nice night ride like Mystic Timbers or the Beast has because they do have a lot of trees back there and they can be saved even with putting in a new coaster. What do you think about that? I think it's a great idea.
I actually think that's a wonderful idea because they could use some great lighting packages back there, and you would also feel like you're kind of enclosed, like there's all of those trees and stuff surrounding you over there. So you would definitely feel like you're in a different environment back there, and that would definitely add on to the aesthetic of all the crazy cool experiences you get at Cedar Point, and that would be very unique to that area especially. And also adding the foot traffic back there and the other access points, it would be very easy for everyone to get to and see. So I think that would be one of the bigger areas that they could do if they were to ever expand and make, they're on this trend. Cedar Fair is on this trend with their recent earnings call of redoing whole areas because it has a high return on investment. Well, that would be a fantastic return on investment with a few more additions, such as the flat rides from Zamperla that you mentioned, adding in the nice lighting package, this nice big coaster addition, getting closer to that 20 mark, or even adding the water coaster and this GCI and hitting the 20 mark, since technically that Aquatrax would be a coaster credit. I just think there's so much opportunity for this Forbidden Frontier area. But the one thing I do know for certain, they have to connect it to the other side of the park, or whatever they put back there is going to have trouble from the beginning. They need more access points to that area. More access points is going to add more foot traffic back there, meaning a higher return on investment, because of course more people are going to be able to get to it. So I think that's a great addition to the park if they go with that route. What do you think about that?
Definitely think get more foot traffic back there. The more entrances, exits is a great idea. Like I said before, I didn't really know anything back there because it wasn't there. It was like off the path. But anyways, on to another thing with those flat rides. A great package would be phenomenal back there. I think it would draw a lot of people back there, especially if they got some thrilling ones in there.
Yeah, Cedar Point isn't really known for their flat ride collection to begin with, and that area has tons of potential for a couple of flat rides back there. I personally would love to see an observation tower be added to the park. I don't know why I like observation towers, but that would offer one of the most unique perspectives of the park you could get, because you would have one of those high up views, 200 plus feet in the middle of Forbidden Frontier Island. That'd be super cool in my opinion. But then they could add some Zamperla rides, like maybe an air race. They could get creative and add some of the things that they have over at Canada's Wonderland. I've seen some very unique flat rides over there, some that I definitely wouldn't even get on myself, but they're crowd pleasers and it would add a different experience back there, add that Wild West frontier type of theming back there with the craziness. I think they could do a lot back there with this. I'm really excited for the future of Cedar Point, the Forbidden Frontier on Adventure Island area. I'm kind of glad that they're closing it. You know, it's sad to see things go, but it's nice to see what could come next. How do you feel about it?
I am definitely excited about what's to come with Cedar Point. I think they are adding quite a bit of new and thrilling things. I know the boardwalk is going to be quite the spectacular show this year, so let's see what they have for Frontierland.
Last but not least, this brings in the new rumors of Top Thrill Dragster's extended layout. This is something that's unique to me because if they were to go that route and change how that top hat went and change the direction of that coaster and add things over there that intertwine with Millennium Force, that would be a knockout no matter what. I just don't know if they're willing to close like two areas in order to do, like, it would be the Dragster Midway getting redone more than likely and Forbidden Frontier as one thing, so that's just a whole lot of area to add one thing. I'm not big on the Dragster being extended over into that area. What are you thinking about that?
I'm really not thrilled about the dragster being extended into that area. I mean, they have enough room to work with as it is to add some more things to it for us. So, you know, going on that whole expanding both areas at the same time is kind of a rough one as well. I think they're going to start working on Frontierland this year, though.
Frontierland. I kind of like that sound. That's a nice little idea for a name back there. They could just, play off the Forbidden Frontier a little bit and the Frontier Trail that they got going through the Wild Wild West theming and just go with Frontierland. That would be actually pretty unique. Have some of those flat rides themed to that. I'm with it. And if they add a wooden roller coaster back there, come on now, it would be a knockout with the theming packages back there. It would be what Mean Streak should have been back when it was built. There's so much potential for this, guys. We are so excited for this. I can't wait to see what happens at Cedar Point. I know this Forbidden Frontier thing probably won't happen until 2025 at the very earliest. I'm thinking likely 2026 is when we'll see what actually happens with that whole area, because they're going to be focused on this boardwalk opening next year, Dragster opening in 2024. 2025 is the year that everything is up in the air. So stay tuned for 2025 news on Cedar Point. I'm sure we'll be hearing about it in the next year or so. I can't wait to see what happens.